Hello, how are you guys doing today? Today, I want to talk about something very interesting. Interesting point, right? You saw it in the title. Difficult pieces are easy to learn. I want to elaborate a bit more on that because I'm not talking about a piece like Campanella, which is just nuts to play in the first place. I'm talking more about a subjective difficulty based on where you are at right now. Pretty much, an easy piece for me could be difficult for you. Or, if you're really good, then I don't know why you're watching the video, but a difficult piece for me could be an easy piece for you. Now, why do I make the statement that challenging pieces for you are easy to play? Well, what I'm talking about is if you know the right method to how to go through those difficult sections, it becomes much easier for you and much more of a realistic goal that you're actually able to overcome and be able to play that section or the piece really well. This kind of goes back to the idea that the way you practice has a massive impact on how you progress in piano. You got to be really smart with how you're practicing if you want to progress quickly with piano. So what I'm going to go through today is that method that you can use to help you progress easier through those difficult sections in your pieces. Let's get into it. So a preface before we get into the method. This method requires lots of focus. You gotta be very focused while you're practicing. You can't just be mindlessly going through it just for enjoyment. Not saying that this isn't enjoyable, but you gotta have some kind of brain activity going through there to try and really get this method to work properly. If I were to describe this method quickly, I would say practice to perfection. When you're practicing, try and get it perfect every time. What do I mean by practicing to perfection? Well, what do I define as perfection in the first place? In this method, perfection, I describe it as getting your notes completely perfect and your timing completely perfect. Everything else in the piece does not matter at all. If you get those two things right, then it is perfect to me. First of all, you're going to pick out any section of your piece that you are struggling at. This could be 1 bar, 2 bar, 1 line, 2 lines, but nothing more than 2 lines. That'll be too much to work on. After that, you're going to play it regularly as you normally would. But when you're playing it this time, listen out to any mistakes you make and be very critical of your playing. What are you doing wrong? What don't you like about it? Now this is where your method comes into play. With your section, you're going to pick a speed that you know you can play through that section perfectly. So perfectly encompasses those 2 criteria. It's your timing, perfect timing, and you're getting all your notes right. Pick a speed as slow as you like. It doesn't matter if it's turtle pace and it just doesn't sound great to you. I describe that speed as trying to make it annoyingly slow for you. That is generally the best speed that you can choose. Let me show you now an example of how I'd like you to do it. Alright, let me show you exactly what I mean by this perfect practice method. So, I'll take this from an excerpt from, have you heard of the Naruto series? Pretty good. Have a watch of that. So this is the excerpt that I'm playing. So imagine now if that wasn't too good. That was, not the best, messy notes, wrong notes. Now I'll pick a speed which I'll play it perfectly at. So when I play really slow, this is what I mean. Yeah, you get the point, right? You go so slow that your timing is still right. I reckon my timing was a bit off there, but notes right, timing right. At that really, really slow speed, and get used to doing that. Also, another note I want to make, the speed I just played at, the practice speed, is not a set speed for you. You can play it even slower. Play at a speed that you can play it perfectly at. So I'll show you at an even slower speed. Just so slow, you get all the notes right. And timing. You will apply this method in any situation in your piece where you're struggling to get the notes down with both hands, you're struggling to get the piece up to speed without making it so messy, and just the general fumbling of the notes or just irregular timing throughout. That's my general criteria that I give for when I want you to apply this method. Now I want to explain why I want you to do this method, because I don't really like explaining things without a good reason why you should do it. Because anything you do, just make sure there's a good reason behind you do it. Otherwise, it's kind of random, right? You're just doing it just for the sake of doing it. My reason why, as to why I want you to do this method, is because you're training your fingers to land at that spot every single time. Your fingers will learn that every time you play through this piece, this finger or this finger must land at this exact note every single time. Let me compare it to something like a sport. Let's say boxing, right? I'm not a boxer. I mean, does it look like I play sport to you? Anyway, let's say you got a boxing bag, right? And you draw a little target on it. If you're training to punch that little target every single time, you do it 100 times, that exact target, you're going to become very good at hitting that target. Let's say another instance, you don't really mind if you're close to the target, semi around it. If it's close enough, it's good enough. You won't be as good as the person who tried to hit that exact spot every single time, if the goal was to hit that exact spot. Same thing for piano. If you're just playing it leisurely, you don't really care about what you're doing, you just gloss over your mistakes, the mistakes will be there. They may not be there all the time, but they will still be there. But if you train your fingers to get at those right notes every single time, the chance that you hit a wrong note is much, much lower. Because you've trained yourself, hit the right note every single time. Essentially, you're training your fingers that these are the notes that you must play. You're also spending more time practicing those exact notes too. So that's pretty much my why as to why this method works really, really well. Just try it, at least. It may seem boring, but actually I find it quite therapeutic, it's quite satisfying when, if you're struggling at a fast speed for ages, can't get the notes right, you go slow it down, and now you're getting all the stuff you're struggling, right? It's pretty satisfying. Try it out. And once you do get it, this is my next point of the method. Once you do get it really, really solid, for a lot of times, at that slow speed, you can ramp up the speed much, much quicker. Pick it up by 25% in speed, then another 25% in speed. You'll notice that your accuracy of notes will be much, much improved, even with a massive increase in speed. To give an exact number, I'd say minimum 10 times perfectly at a slow speed, and then pick up your speed after that. Now, if you're following this method at that slow, annoyingly slow speed, and you're still getting hiccups, some wrong notes, things aren't going as planned, what I recommend is, first of all, are you really going slow enough? Can you go slower than you already are? So slow that you give yourself so much time to figure out what the next note is. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if you are already going slow, ask yourself, is this an issue that is present when both hands are playing together, or will the issue still be present if I take away one hand and just play one hand by itself? If that issue is still present when you're playing one hand by itself, then work hands separately first. Once that is better, when you put your hands together, then everything will work much better, because now you've got some better hand independency as you're playing it, hands together. My last thing about following through with this method and you're still struggling with the notes is maybe try and decrease your area of work. So if you're working right now through 2 lines, but you're only really struggling in 1 or 2 bars of that 2 lines, then simply only work on that 1 or 2 bars. There's no reason for you to work through all those 2 lines, right? So just go through those 2 bars. This will give you a much more focused practice, and you can spend much more time on that area. The more time you spend on something, the better it will get. Same thing, if in those 2 bars, everything is just chaos, everything is blowing out to bits. Break it up even more. Work 2 bars at a time, maybe 3 bars, 1 line at a time. Just chop it up really small so you can spend more time in those little sections, and it will for sure improve that way. So that concludes my lecture on how difficult pieces are actually easy. Some might say it's clickbaity, but it's true. Difficult pieces for you can be made much easier if you follow the right methods to practice through it now. So now you guys are equipped with what to do if you come towards a difficult part. Apply this method. Playing for perfection. So summary, perfection, play super duper slow so that you get all the notes right and the timing right. Once you get that down, then you can ramp up the speed. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like, consider subscribing, helps me a lot. And also, give me that thumbs up like button below my channel video. What did I just say? Give me a like button. Yeah, give me a like, and give me comments too. And write down some comments below too, and I'll answer if you have any further queries. And yeah, that's about it from me. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.